Well, hello again. This is the 28th of June 2024, and this is a continuation of my Orty Thoughty about foil arms and hog, which I had to abandon partway through last night as I had a low battery. And of course, part of what I do here is do everything in one take. And I was talking about some of my favourite characters. I was so rudely interrupted. I'll talk about another favourite of mine, the Snob. The Snob, whose name is Dennis. It has recently been revealed. And he's one of those characters who it's very odd. He becomes more enigmatic the more you learn about him. He begins life in the first sketch he appears in. He's just an annoying little man in an art gallery, played by Hog. Just goes up to an everyman, played by Foyle, with his very harassed, beleaguered face on, of course, and starts to talk about the art in a very kind of know-it-all, erudite kind of way, and takes off his glasses like this and goes, yes, but then as he appears more often, the character develops, and well, he's clearly got a drinking problem. You know, he's always got a bottle of wine in his bag, sometimes at least one, sometimes more than one, sometimes several bottles of wine in his bag. He's very much alone in the world, you know. In one is in a hospital waiting room, and he asks the patient beside him, "I'm very sorry to bother you, but could I put you down as my emergency contact?" And there's another one where he goes to a burger bar and he's just sort of sitting at the table with his little tub of ice cream and a little plastic spoon going, "Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me." And it's just a very mysterious little person. Is he an aristocrat who's living in reduced circumstances? Is he just an eccentric? Is he a sort of, kind of classic Tony Hancock, Oliver Hardy sort of character who sort of has a lot of insecurities that they deal with by trying to appear superior, more educated, more upper class than the people around them? I don't know. It's a mystery. Definitely one of us gets serious autistic vibes off him. And it's odd how much sympathy he gets from the audience as well. I mean, he's supposed to be really annoying. You know, he's made to be an irritating. That's the joke, you know. He's cats are fighting. Stop it. That's the joke. He's annoying, right? He's annoying Foyle's character all the time. Foyle's character is just sort of having to deal with it and be polite, you know. But yeah, it does get a lot of love from, well, not just from the fans, I mean from the whole audience. Why? I don't know. He has sort of innocence to him, and that goes a long way. He's kind of very harmless, quite naive. And I think that's one of those things that people just sort of like. You know, they sort of feel sorry for him as much as anything else. And then there's the episode at the in the hospital. That was the most recent one. It ends with him meeting someone very similar to himself, who just sort of happens to be sitting a few seats away. And there's suddenly, the comments are full of, oh, can we have two snobs on a date? Oh, how lovely. Oh, they're so in love. Oh, it's beautiful. And of course, Arms sometimes, well, every time a video comes up, he'll sort of spend half an hour or so in the comments writing personal responses to people. And Arms actually wrote to someone, I don't think the cameras could handle it. So that was a bit cryptic. I don't know. I don't know if that means we will get two snobs on a date or what. Or if, the second snob is just going to disappear into the ether. Or maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know yet what's going to happen to our favourite snob. Anyway, I think the thing about the snob, this leads quite nicely into one of their common themes, which is people who are somehow pretentious or arrogant. It's their common target. And I think that's probably why they have a wide appeal. Everybody hates pretentious people. That kind of inauthenticity is the butt of their jokes again and again. And it's something that's very safe. It's not offensive to anybody. It's something that you can watch with all your family and so on. It's not in any way dirty or rude or dark, but it's it feels clever. It's sort of, it's got a certain amount of wry humour to it. It's and it's something you can come back to again and again in different ways, from different angles. And it's a fairly universal annoyance as well. Someone who's arrogant, someone who's false. It's but yes, again, the snob, he does have this sort of innocent, harmless aura to him as well, which makes him likeable as well. On one hand, he's not a complete hate figure. I think it's a thing with Anne Flanagan as well. She is sort of very pretentious, very, very up herself, but at the same time she has a kind of warmth about her, because it's clear that she cares deeply for her son, but at the same time she's got a lot of hang-ups and a lot of insecurities, and it gives the characters depth. I know we only see them for a couple of minutes at most, and that they are sort of stock stereotype, comedy characters, but they do have some believability to them. A relatability. Everybody knows somebody like that. Everyone's been irritated by somebody like that. Everybody has someone like that, in their family. Moving on. Not so much a character as a theme. The party theme. Again, it's it's really difficult to describe without it sounding absolutely awful. It's this. They take an abstract concept such as days of the week or foods you might find in your fridge, and then imagine them personified and, devise a little costume from their prop box. Do it in front of a blank white wall. Apparently, all the sets are made in their office in a day. They have a day to put a set together and some costumes and so on. And sometimes you just have to dash out first thing in the morning to buy a couple of props, and then the next day they spend filming and editing, and then it goes out on a Thursday. And they're just so simply done, but so absolutely hilarious. Just wordplay and, again, relatable situations. And it's very hard to describe it in a way that makes it sound like an attractive thing to watch. But it's one of those that when you see it, you just think that is brilliant. Again, the personifying abstract concepts come up again and again in their sketches, and their one-offs and so on. There's things like the weather goes to therapy, and Winter is interviewed on the radio, and so on. And just that very kind of minimal costuming, what they just managed to throw together themselves is almost part of the joke. Let's see what they've managed to put together to create an image of the Earth experiencing global warming as a patient in hospital. It's just that kind of creativity with the bare minimum of resources, I think, that it is appealing. There's no sort of style over substance or anything like that. It's about the script and the jokes and they just sort of threw them together themselves in a couple of hours, and well, for me personally, I really like that aspect of it, and seeing the same props coming up again and again, like the famous big puffy green coat and the pink wig, and the same sort of pairs of glasses again and again. Seeing the same wallpaper in each character's house. They have a pink damask design and sort of early 2000s blue and green leaves and blank white and blank black. And it's theatrical. It's like watching theatre. You sort of suspend your disbelief. It becomes you just delve into this world where yes, obviously that's a set of boards with some wallpaper on, but it's you believe that's a wall. For the purpose of this, it's a wall in a room. It's like what I was saying in the last one about you know, when they play women, they sort of do it like drag queens. You know, they have silly wigs and sort of silly dresses and talking sort of funny high pitched voices, but it's the comedy world. That's what a woman looks like in the comedy world of Foil Arms and Hog. You know, they're not playing a woman. They are not trying to convince you that they are women. They're creating an image that you can, just for the purpose of this, believe is a woman, you know. Am I describing this well? I don't know. I'll move on. The immigration sketches. It's another common running theme in their work, to play on national stereotypes. And not necessarily playing on national stereotypes in terms of, you know, oh, French people look silly in their blue and white stripy shirts and berets and so on. It's not making fun of individual nationalities, you know, it's making fun of the concept of national stereotypes. They're just so completely overdone and ironic. You know, it's not in any way going to be offensive to anybody. It's not poking fun at, you know, German people or Indian people or English people. It's poking fun at the these images that we have of individual nationalities. No. And the immigration sketches, they're again very simply done. They're done just in the office by the window, with a little national flag printed out and put in a picture frame on the windowsill to show what it is. And then there's arms doing a really, you know, silly overdone accent, asking questions, you know, sort of double meaning questions about the country that they're going to. And Foil and Hog are the Irish immigrants, attempting to answer these questions. And again, it's one of those things that sounds quite dull when you describe it. But again, when you watch it, they're just so clever. They're so quick. There's so much wordplay, and there's always some general knowledge required. You know, that there's always something there that I don't quite get. And obviously, they've done some research into the history and culture of the country that they're talking about. But again, it's just it's so inoffensive. You know, it's just silly humour, but also it has that double edge of that kind of postmodern laughing at yourself for laughing at yourself. Undertone to it. And again, the national stereotypes thing does come up again and again in their sketches. Just because as well they have a worldwide fan base. You know, they are internet famous, not TV famous. So they're as likely to have a fan in China or America or Australia or Nigeria or whatever as they are, you know, well, maybe not as likely, but far more likely than someone who'd had a TV series that only shown in 2 or 3 countries. because I think they do more shows in Ireland than anywhere else, since they live there. And recently as well, you know, with the football being on and things, they've done things about, you know, who should Ireland support in the Euros. That was a recent one. And narrowed it down to England or Slovenia. The next series they're all waving their Slovenian flags. Slovenia. I forget the exact song. Anyway. Where was I? Yes, gone through common themes. More big fan favourite characters. Mrs. Geraghty. Mrs. Geraghty is she's a very old woman who's she lives in a nursing home. She's played by Arms, of course, in a little kind of lace collared dress, and she wears little wire glasses and grey hair, and she's so very just that looks like a very sweet little old lady. And her grandson Kevin, played by Foyle, comes along and through their conversation, you know, it turns out that she's, well, in the early sketches she's just been a bit naughty, you know, she's been drinking a lot, she's been shoplifting. By the most recent one, she's actually attempting to murder the fellow residents that have been annoying her. I mean, she's not one of my favourites, really. So I'm not sure really why she is popular. There's certainly a lot of she gets a lot of attention from the fandom, let's say. And I feel like it is like the trope of you know, an old woman just being naughty, you know, that I don't feel there's anything particularly special about her. But yeah, she does have a big following in the fan base. Tiernan Callahan, the newsreader, he appears in different situations, still talking like a newsreader. You know, he goes into a job interview and work is expected to commence in the spring. And he moves over to his reporter, who gives another view of the situation, and then at the end he's sort of patting down his papers. He's a very popular one as well, although he hasn't actually had that many appearances and hasn't turned up for a very long time. I'll end on Gerald and Stephen. Gerald and Stephen are... they're two flatmates. Well, apparently Foyle thinks they are flatmates. Foyle, who plays Stephen, and Arms plays Gerald. And Arms was under the impression they were a gay couple. And they are very popular among slash writers. There's a lot of slash about Gerald and Stephen. And a lot of it is on the theme that there's these two guys living in a flat together and they sort of fancy each other, but neither of them really dares make the first move and so on. And there's a lot of sketches that appear, you know, just these two friends played by Arms and Foyle talking to each other, and it's not actually explicitly stated that they are Gerald and Stephen, but some of the fans believe they are. And they really remind me actually of Peep Show. So they very often have these conversations that move from close-up on foil to close-up on arms, close-up. And again, they're playing foil and arms, basically. They're stock characters. Stephen is just like a very normal guy. He's just a normal guy, you know, trying to be cool and everything. You know, a bit too cool for school. Sort of fancies himself a bit of a hard man type of thing. And Gerald is just very sweet. Gerald's adorable. He wears a little woolly hat and a scarf, and he likes to make sure that they have lots of nice food in the flat, lots of nice bread and olives and things. And but he's quite socially awkward, and Stephen sort of gets quite frustrated about him and a bit embarrassed about him in front of his friends. Gerald's just so lovely and so well-meaning, and but Stephen doesn't appreciate him at all, and it's quite sad. Yeah, that's Gerald and Stephen. And Gerald's one of my favourites, actually. He's just so lovely. And Gerald. And again, it's these tiny little microcosms of you know, windows into these characters' lives, and they're just so quickly drawn, but you know, they have such depth. They have layers. They're engaging characters. And you know, although there's so little of them to work with, you know, you can imagine so much more going on, and I think that is very much the magic of Foil Arms and Hogg's recurring characters. This idea that they're just a fragment of a sitcom almost. And they fit so much into, you know, such a short space of time. Sorry, I've got a cat down here that wants some attention. Zebedee. No, do you not want to be on camera? Okay, Zeb. Yeah, the elephant in the room. I'll move away from their common characters and themes. The elephant in the room when talking about Foil Arms and Hogg. They're a boy band for grown-ups. And I mean, their viewers, their regular viewers are, you know, a very mixed bag of people. The people who are actively involved in the fandom are overwhelmingly adult women. And a lot of the, well, I wouldn't say a lot of the posts, but so there's definitely a theme is, ooh, aren't they hot? Yeah, it's not just me. We do seem to be quite evenly split between you know, which one is sexiest. all of them are, you know, really attractive guys. You know, they can cook, they read, they keep fit, they answer questions in a thoughtful and articulate way. They are politically reasonable. And, you know, in the modern day of these days of culture wars and anti-wokeism and so on, you know, there's been a lot of people who, you know, seemed fine, that suddenly come out as anti-vaxxers or transphobes or some form of undesirable. But yeah, foil arms and hog have always been reasonably safe so far. You know, as far as I'm aware, none of them have ever been accused of anything really dodgy. You know, none of them are, you know, possible Nazis or, you know, sex offenders or anything like that. They're all nice guys. They're okay from what I can gather. In fact, they have actually been on record denouncing the alpha male movement, so that's a massive plus as well. They're not problematic in that respect. And yeah, I think there's I don't know why it's not more often talked about. Now, I think, you know, that there is something that that there is a big gap in the market for you know, boy band substitutes for those who are beyond their teen years. And this is, it seems surprising as well that they're all single. I mean, I know Hogg has had girlfriends in the past. It has been mentioned briefly. But there was one interview where Foyle was talking, you know, sort of quite at length about how they don't get much attention from fans. You know, he was talking about when they went to a festival once, and you know, all the rock stars, you know, they had you know, hordes of groupies trying to grab them, but you know, nobody was remotely interested in the comedians. I thought, really, honestly, huh? What? I mean, I know. People I know personally is not a accurate sample, but certainly there's a lot of people online who think foil arms and hog are like, you know, me included. I mean, if you know, if Arms isn't interested, you know, either of his friends wouldn't say no. If I was single, of course, I am married. I just choose to forget sometimes when watching them get interviewed. I think I'll not go any further down that road. I think that's getting a bit that's getting far enough. How problematic are they? Well, I've already discussed that they have not come out with any objectionable political statements. That's fine. The thing that kind of bothers me about them to some extent, about their past, it's not something that they do anymore, but certainly when they were first making a name for themselves. They did sort of go a bit for the trying to be edgy kind of humour, you know, pedo jokes and things, which, you know, they couldn't do it. You know, it's not just unfunny and trying far too hard. They just didn't look happy with it. And I get it. I get it. You know, I used to. Nearly 20 years ago now, I was trying to get into comedy. You know, doing stand up myself, and it's just really soul destroying when, you know, you've prepared stuff about the news and things, and then nobody looks up from the beer. But then the next act comes on and just sort of relates a disappointing sexual experience and brings the house down. You know, and, you know, more than one person said to me, you know, if you're going to get a laugh, you just really, you need to sort of do kind of really lowbrow, dirty humour, which was exactly the kind of thing I didn't want to do. And that's part of the reason why I gave up in the end. That and being an agoraphobic, of course. You can be a comedian if you aren't funny, but you cannot be a comedian if you're an agoraphobic. So yeah, I tend to just not bother watching any of their videos if they're more than about 7 or 8 years old, because they're, I don't know, I'll make an excuse for them. They're just trying to find their feet and see what works and things, and a lot of it didn't. You know, they're so much more refined now in their image and their style of humour. And you know, they've got their thing and it works. It works for them. And I think that there is a really big gap in the market actually for comedians who are doing things that are clearly, you know, for adults. You know, they're talking about, you know, concepts of the workplace and everyday irritations and irritating people. And you know, things that are clearly part of the adult world, but aren't dirty, aren't, you know, trying really hard to be edgy and offensive. And yeah, I am so bored of that kind of humour. You know, it's nobody's being challenged, nobody's shocked anymore. It's just lazy. You know, and I remember they were actually being interviewed once, and the interviewer brought up, you know, some of their, you know, their past sketches that, you know, have this darkness to them, if you like. And I remember Arms actually said, you know, we decided we don't want to upset people. We want to make people laugh. You know, that's what we're here to do. And, you know, I think that's a really noble cause. I think I'm kind of winding down now. I'm running out of things to say about Foil Arms and Hog. So I will leave it there. I'll leave it there. There may be a part 3 if I start thinking of anything else, or if the rest of the fandom start telling me, oh, you should have talked about this, should have talked about that, you forgot this character, you've got that character, whatever. Yes, I will. I'll make a number 3 if there is any call for it. I promise there will be a 3 if anybody wants one. You want a 3, I'll make a 3. You don't want a 3, there won't be one. I'm nice like that, okay? Bye for now.